Hello student, myself Dr. Mansoor Maulavi. This is our third lecture over the lipids and today I am explaining the complex lipids. Let us revise first the classification of the lipids. So here we can know where the complex lipid stands. Lipids and fats are classified in the four category. We know simple lipids, complex lipids, derived lipids, and the miscellaneous lipids. Here we had seen the two types of simple lipids, the fats, oil, and the waxes. And now in this lecture, we are going to look at the four types of complex lipids. These four types are the phospholipids, glycolipids, lipoprotein, and the other complex lipids. So let us start with the summary of the complex lipids. What are complex lipids? The complex lipids are the esters of fatty acid with alcohol and some additional group such as phosphates, nitrogenous base, carbohydrates, and the proteins. So depending on the types of extra groups present in the complex lipids are divided into four categories. First is the phospholipids. As name suggests, phospholipids contains the phosphoric acid or phosphate group. So fatty acid, glycerol, phosphoric acid, and the nitrogenous base are four components of the phospholipids. Then second type of complex lipid is the glycolipids. Glyco means carbohydrates or sugars. So the lipids contains the carbohydrates. So fatty acid, carbohydrates, and the nitrogenous base are the components of the glycolipids. Third is the lipoprotein. Lipoprotein contains the protein in the triglycerides or in the fats. So this is the lipoprotein. And fourth type is the other complex lipids. Other complex lipids contain the other groups along with the fatty acid and the glycerol. So one by one we will see detail about the complex lipid. First type is the phospholipids. Phospholipids contain the phosphorus in the form of phosphates or the phosphoric acid. So the complex lipid which contains the fatty acid, alcohol, glycerol, phosphoric acid, nitrogenous base are known as the phospholipids. So this is the general structure of the phospholipids. We will see the all the components of the phospholipids. The phospholipids contains the alcohol, that is the glycerol. It contains the fatty acid. It contains the phosphoric acid or phosphate group, and important, it contains the nitrogenous base. So depending on the types of alcohol present, depending on the which kind of nitrogenous base present in the phospholipids we can classify. This is the structure of the arrangement of the phospholipids in the plasma membrane of the cell. So we can say that there is presence of bilayer or double layer of phospholipids present as a outer covering of the each cell. This is the outer part of cell. This is the inner part of cell, and this cell is protected by outer layer of the plasma membrane. So phospholipids are important part of the cell. Let us look at the classification of the phospholipids. The phospholipids are of two types. First is the phosphoglycerides. Phosphoglyceride contains the glycerol as an alcohol. Example is the lecithin and the cephalin. Second type of the phospholipid is the sphingolipids. The sphingolipids contain the sphingomycin alcohol. These are the three structure of the three phospholipid: lecithin, cephalin, and the sphingomyelin. About the lecithin, what are the components of this? So this phospholipids contains the glycerol and the choline as a nitrogen base. Lecithin contains the choline nitrogen base. Cephalin contains the glycerol alcohol and the serine or ethanolamine nitrogen base. While the cephalin contains the sphingomycin alcohol, that is an unsaturated amino alcohol, sphingomycin, along with the nitrogen base, that is the choline. So this is the main difference between the phosphoglyceride. Phosphoglyceride contains glycerol alcohol, while the sphingolipid contains the sphingomycin alcohol. Lecithin, cephalin, and the sphingomyelin are the three types of the phospholipids. We will see the occurrence of phospholipids. Lecithin is found in the egg yolk, the wheat jar, and the soybean. Cephalus is present in the plasma membrane, blood plasma, and the white matter of central nervous system, while the sphingomyelin is present in the plasma membrane. Second types of the complex lipid, the glycolipid. As name suggests, the glycolipid contains the carbohydrate units or the sugars. So the complex lipid which contains the carbohydrates, fatty acid, and the nitrogen base, as known as the glycolipid. This is the general structure of glyceroglycolipid. This glyceroglycolipid contains glucose in it at one of the end of glycerol along with the fatty acid. Other types of glycolipids are classified as the cerebrocytes and the ganglioside. The cerebrocytes and the ganglioside are also known as the glycosphingolipids. Glycosphingolipids contains the sphingomycin as a alcohol. So this is the structure of 60 carbon amino alcohol. This is the structure of 80 carbon. This is the structure of 80 carbon amino alcohol, that is the sphingomycin. So sphingolipids in the phospholipid contain the sphingomycin alcohol, and here glycosphingolipids also contains the sphingomycin as a alcohol. So this is the glycolipids. Glycolipids contains the carbohydrate units along with the lipids. This is the third type of lipoprotein. Lipoprotein contains the macromolecular complexes of the lipid and the protein. It is carrying the cholesterol in the bloodstream. So this is the general structure of the lipoprotein. Lipoprotein contains the different units are the components like triglycerides, then phospholipids, then apoprotein, etc. So depending on this unit, the percentage or the composition of this unit, these lipoproteins are classified in the kilomicrons, very low density lipoprotein, low density lipoprotein, high density lipoprotein. All that types of lipoproteins are related with the good cholesterol and the bad cholesterol in the human body. So this relative proportion of these different types of the lipoprotein affect the person with varying degree of risk of cardiovascular diseases. So maintaining this level of lipoprotein in the blood through the diet is also important part in the health. Last type of the complex lipid is the other complex lipid. The other complex lipid include the other groups like sulfate or amino group in addition to the fatty acid, alcohols, and the others. For example, sulfolipids contain the sulfated carbohydrates, sulfated glucose, along with the fatty acid and the glycerol. So, depending on the types of groups in the complex lipid are classified as phospholipids, glycolipids, lipoprotein, and the other complex lipid.